Well, that's where I want to welcome in our first guest, President of Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr. Thanks very much for being here, Jerry.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Well, you're friends with President Trump, so let me begin by simply asking you this. What did you think of last night's speech?
I thought he was very presidential, very much on point. He stuck to his script, and it was sort of funny to watch the Democratic response afterwards because he threw them off because he didn't do his normal type of speech. And they, Chuck and Nancy reminded me, I put it on Instagram, reminded me of Herman Munster and Morticia. it was kind of funny to watch, but it was, I think he was at his best last night. And, you know, politicians in this country over the last 40 years, I've noticed they've started to think of themselves as royalty. And and certain actions are not presidential, and somehow they're better than the rest of us. And that's something our founding fathers hated. It's what they went to war to prevent. And I think that's why Donald Trump got elected, because he's just one of us. And, you know, last night he showed he could also be more like the old style presidents. And I think that was what was needed last night, because it is a real crisis and something needs to be done. It's funny, the Democrats not so many years ago were calling for a wall. Yeah. And and it's because these illegal immigrants are taking jobs from American workers who were voting for Democrats back then. Well, they changed, a lot of them changed who they voted for in 2016. So it makes me wonder if maybe that's why the Democrats suddenly don't care about border security. They lost their working class voters, so now they're trying to bring in new voters. I don't know, but I know every time an illegal voter comes in, they get counted in the census, and they add electoral votes to states like California, even if they can't vote themselves. That's the real reason I think the Democrats want open borders.
And look, we saw that, Jerry, even this last election cycle with the gerrymandering in Pennsylvania, they added a bunch of districts around Philadelphia, due in large part to these people being counted into the census and reapportioning those congressional districts. So, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. All right, let's play a clip for you from Speaker Nancy Pelosi responding to President Trump's speech. This is from earlier today.
Last night, the president spattered more malice and misinformation, appealing to fear instead of facts. The reality is that the president could end the Trump shutdown and reopen government today, and he should. Instead, he is holding the American people hostage to his ineffective, expensive wall and withholding paychecks for hardworking Americans.
You know, Jerry, you and I are honest about our political bent, right? I'm a conservative commentator. Yeah. You are the president of a conservative university, a very outspoken conservative supporter of the president. Mm-hmm. But I think we can be intellectually honest enough to put that aside. When I look at social media, when I looked at social media today, a lot of chatter about this, I'm seeing the majority of people simply not agree with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Americans are pragmatic. They have a lot of common sense. What they're seeing is that the president cares about Americans falling victim to crimes committed by illegal aliens, and the Democrats are essentially putting those Americans last and worried about people 1,000 miles away with ill intentions when they come here. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think they still haven't figured out Donald Trump. She said Trump shut down. She still thinks that there's some political hay to be made for the Democrats by blaming the shutdown on him. Those days are gone. People don't care anymore. The government shuts down. They say, okay, we'll go to the Smithsonian next year. Who cares? But it is bad for the people, the employees who are not getting paychecks. But I think that it's just so obvious what they're doing. They're opposing this wall only because they want President Trump to not be able to keep his promise, his campaign promise, and they're hoping that'll hurt him in 2020. And they're totally forgetting about what's good for the country. These people there's human trafficking coming across the border. There's drug trafficking. There's terrorists coming across. There's criminals coming across who've committed terrible crimes where they used to live. And that's not, you can't have a country if you don't stop that. I mean, to me, it's just common sense. And it really is funny when they try to bring religion into it. For years they accused conservative Christians of wanting a theocracy because Christians supported, were pro-life and supported certain socially conservative issues. But now they're trying to say that because Jesus said, "Suffer not the little children to come to me," that the border should be open, that Jesus was somehow telling Caesar how to run Rome. And that's not what Jesus did. When Jesus said, "Turn the other cheek," he didn't mean for that to apply to Roman soldiers going into battle. It's different when you're head of a country. Jesus made it very clear. He was teaching personal charity, us, of what we're supposed to do to help the poor, not saying wealth distribution. That was never, he stayed out of politics.
All right, well, the left has called the wall things like inhumane and immoral. On the other hand, President Trump did very well with evangelicals in 2016. So how does the message play out that the Democrats are pushing, Jerry? Does it resonate with those evangelical voters, or does it turn them off? Do they see a wall as immoral and inhumane?
Well, a lot of evangelicals are Hispanics who have come here legally, and they have jobs, and they resent the fact that since people are coming across illegally, taking their jobs. And I think a lot of evangelicals think it's immoral not to protect, not for a king, for a president, not to protect his country by securing the border. And it's, it's just common, like I said, common sense. And I think evangelicals appreciate what he's doing. They supported him over 80% when he was campaigning on the wall. And that was one of the big issues to the evangelical base. And I think he's going to stick to his guns and make sure he keeps that promise. I really do.
Jerry, you were recently asked by the Washington Post if there's anything President Trump could do that would endanger support from you or other evangelical leaders, and your answer was simply no. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I went ahead to explain in that article that I've gotten to know President Trump. I think he's a different person than he used to be. I don't think he's capable of doing anything that would alienate his base at this point in his life. I think he's matured. I think he's not a businessman, a TV star anymore. He's the president of the United States, and I think he cares about one thing, and that's doing what's best for this country. That's why I don't believe there's anything he could do that would alienate his base. And I also was criticized in that same interview. I said something about a poor person never gave anyone a job, and certain liberals said, well, what about Jesus when he said that the widow's mite was more valuable than the millionaire's gifts? It's because of the percentage. The percentage of her wealth was more than what the rich people gave their percentage, and it doesn't mean that she helped more people. It just meant that her percentage, the percentage she gave, was more. And so I try to make that clear afterwards, but that was one thing that was misunderstood in that interview.
All right, before I let you go, let's talk a little bit about Liberty University. Some big things are going on there. You've got a new dean of business and a new director of entrepreneurship, and the basketball team isn't doing half bad. What's coming for Liberty University in 2019?
Yeah, the new dean of the School of Business is Dave Brad. He's got an incredible background in economics. I've heard from former college students who say that when he taught at their college, he was instrumental in changing their lives, and we're excited about bringing him on board. Tony Nobles, who has more, I believe he has more medical invention patents than anybody else in the country. He invented a device that fixed a hole in my heart that back in September, and I was only the 120th person to have it done, but he's going to come and teach our students, no matter what they're studying, how to also be an entrepreneur, how to secure patents, how to do something out of the box. And we beat UCLA the other night in basketball by 15 points out in LA. We moved up to the highest level in football, the FBS. And so it's just, and the campus has grown so much. We've done $1 billion worth of construction here in the last 10 years.
Wow.
And Liberty's really prospering because we dare to be different than most universities that don't allow free expression of ideas, who ridicule conservative students, and who teach us a worldview that's totally and completely progressive and liberal. And people are tired of that. And so Liberty is the beneficiary of that.
Jerry Falwell Jr., an absolute pleasure to have you. Thanks for being here today.
Honor to be here, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more breaking news coverage, exclusive interviews, and great videos, click over here to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And don't forget to download the free Newsmax TV app. Newsmax TV, it's real news for real people.